Imagine you are in power, you have the ruling part, the government machinery, money, influence, the works, and suddenly a group of retired generals, not young activists, not a pop star on Twitter, not grandpa with 3,000 unread WhatsApp messages, retired generals, and it walk into parliament and submit a document publicly resisting your plan. Paraipa. Now, most politicians, when they hear retired generals, think these are influencers with medals, but not in Zimbabwe. No, that's like waking up and opening your blinds and seeing your ex standing on your lawn with a megaphone and a legal briefcase. Because these are people who for decades carried real power in this country, people who in 2017, famously intervened in politics and ended the rule of Robert Mugabe without even apologizing afterwards. So, when retired generals publicly submit a resistance document to parliament opposing Bill No.3 and warning against constitutional manipulation, you can bet the politicians in Harare suddenly stopped drinking Amarula and started checking their phones at 3 a.m. Right now, Emerson Mnangagwa and his supporters, the political elite, are up late. Not because they are worried about the economy, not because of inflation, not even because of someone posted a scary meme on WhatsApp. No. They are up because these generals have said publicly what many people were only thinking quietly in private. And that is terrifying for anyone in power. Let's be honest, if war veterans and ex-military leaders, people once seen as supporters of the liberation legacy, are now openly pushing back against your constitutional change, it means something bigger is happening. Zimbabwe isn't about political party competition anymore. It's about institutional credibility. It's about who gets to decide how power can be held, limited, or ended. So, and these retired generals didn't just write a sweet letter asking politely. No, they submitted a formal document to parliament asserting the constitutional boundaries, pointing out legal flaws in the amendment process, and making it publicly known that this was a red line for them. Think about how many politicians have nightmares about generals since 2017. That year didn't just happen, it left a psychological punch. In 2017, we watched the security establishment shift the political trajectory overnight. So when people who were once part of that establishment now criticize your actions publicly, you don't call your lawyer. You don't send out a press release. You don't tweet spinning emojis. Well, you lose sleep. And that's exactly what is happening last night and tonight, and maybe some couple more nights. Mnangagwa's closest advisors are pacing. They are rereading the constitution. They are calling judges, not to invite them for lunch, but to ask, okay, but is this actually legal? Or pani patakaita mistakes? Muri Zimbabwe. Vadli vesadza. Meanwhile, critics of Bill No.3, civil society groups, war veterans, opposition figures are like, finally, someone said it publicly. Because remember, in Zimbabwe politics, when the street speaks, it's noise. But when figures with historical legitimacy speak, governments have to pay attention. The government have to pay attention. Is this a coup? No. Is it a crisis? Maybe not yet. Is it significant politically? Absolutely. Because this resistance isn't for some paper-shredded newsletter no one reads. This is a formal submission to the seat of legislative power, parliament, challenging the very basis of the proposed constitutional change, parliament. It puts Mnangagwa and his allies in a difficult position. Do they ignore it? Do they push forward? Do they take it to court? Do they call in people who actually still serve in the army to calm things down? None of those options are comfortable. And Zimbabweans online and on the streets are watching with popcorn because humor is how the public processes politics. They're already making jokes like Zimbabwe politics is the only place where generals write resistance letters and politicians check their anxiety medicine. If generals start signing petitions, MPs will start checking Google for referendum definition. But humor sometimes makes something real, and this is real. You know, like humor sometimes masks tisaona something chiri real, senge chiri real, but this is real. Because what this shows is that the question of how power is held in Zimbabwe is no longer being decided quietly behind closed doors or in whispered elite negotiations. It's spilling into public space with actors who have historical gravitas, and that changes the stakes. So tonight, somewhere in Harare, in well-lit offices and behind closed gates, politicians are wide awake. Not because they are scared of war, and definitely not because the people are upset, which they maybe are, but because the very people who once held the keys to military influence have taken a public stance against the extension of power. And in Zimbabwe, as political history, this is a reminder to everyone that power is never as secure as it looks. It's easy to draft a bill, it's another thing entirely for those once in power to publicly resist it. And that, my friends, is why Zimbabwe's political elite are not sleeping tonight. Stay here on Zim State Watch and subscribed. Thank you.